Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something big. Literally, buying used heavy equipment in Canada. Now, look, if you get this right, you've just bought yourself a workhorse that basically prints money. But if you get it wrong, oh boy, you're stuck with a very, very expensive and very heavy money pit. We're going to show you how to tell the difference.
So let's kick things off with a scenario you're almost guaranteed to face. You find two used wheel loaders. One has 2,000 hours on the clock, the other has 8,000. Your gut is probably screaming, take the low-hour one, right? It seems like a total no-brainer. But what if your gut is leading you astray? What if that 8,000-hour machine is actually the smarter, safer purchase? Let's find out.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is straight from the experts. Jared Houghton over at Volvo says that focusing only on the hour meter is a classic and potentially very costly mistake. So, if the hours don't tell the whole story, what does?
This brings us to a really interesting, kind of counterintuitive idea. Why a machine with 4 times the hours could actually be the more reliable investment for your business. The secret, as it turns out, is all about its history.
Think about it this way. That 2,000-hour machine could have spent its entire life in some brutal mining operation, pushed to its absolute limits by an operator who didn't know what they were doing. Meanwhile, the 8,000-hour machine, it might have been meticulously maintained with a huge chunk of those hours just spent idling on a light-duty job site. See? Context is everything.
So, how do you actually uncover a machine's true story? Well, you need a solid game plan, an inspection checklist. This is your roadmap to understanding its real condition long before you even start talking about the price.
First things first, you have to see the service history. Don't just ask for it, demand it. A big, thick file showing regular, preventative maintenance from a certified dealer is a huge green flag. It tells you the owner actually cared. Then, you got to get down and look at the tires. Check for cuts, look for wear on the casing and the tread, because let me tell you, a new set of tires can be a massive, immediate hit to your budget.
Next up, for any tractor machines, you want to check if it has an original equipment manufacturer. That's an OEM, undercarriage. They're just built to a higher standard, and they generally have a much longer wear life than aftermarket parts. And then, hop in the cab. A clean, well-kept interior with seats that aren't torn up, that often points to an operator who respected the machine. And that kind of care usually extends to how it was operated.
All right, here's where you can really start to see the machine's true history. Wiggle the bucket. If those pins and bushings are loose and sloppy, that's a huge red flag. It tells you the previous owner probably just ran it into the ground. And a fresh coat of paint? It could be a good thing, or it could be hiding a world of hurt. Look for overspray on the hoses or alarms. That's a classic sign of a rushed, cover-up job.
And don't forget to ask for the data. A telematic report like Volvo's mattress data can be a total game changer. It'll show you how much of that 8,000 hours was actual hard work versus just sitting around idling. And hey, if you want to take the guesswork out of it completely, look for a certified used machine. They've already been inspected by the pros and often come with a warranty. That can be a huge stress reliever.
Okay, so you've done your homework, you've inspected the machine top to bottom, and you've found the one. Now we get to the next critical phase. How are you going to structure the deal and pay for it here in Canada?
When it comes to financing in Canada, you basically have 2 main playbooks. You can go the traditional route with government-backed loans through your bank. That usually means better rates. Or you can tap into the world of private lenders and brokers. They tend to offer more speed and flexibility, especially if you're buying from a private seller or if your credit isn't exactly spotless.
And you really shouldn't underestimate the power of those government-backed loans. Through programs like the Canada Small Business Financing Program, or the CSBFP, you can get access to over $1 million in financing. That is enough to buy some serious, game-changing equipment for your business.
And this really shows you the cost of borrowing. Government programs have a ceiling. The CSBFP, for example, it caps variable rates at the prime rate plus 3%. So with a prime rate of, say, 4.45%, your max rate is 7.45%. In the private market, though, well, those rates can climb much, much higher, into the high teens or even over 20%, depending on the deal and your business's risk profile.
So if you want to get the best financing, you've got to learn to think like a lender. Their perspective is what drives the whole deal, and it's probably not what you'd expect.
You see, lenders don't really care about the sticker price or what you think it's worth. They care about one thing, and one thing only. It's fair market value. This is their cold, hard calculation of what they could get for that machine at auction if the loan goes bad and they have to sell it. It's all about their downside protection.
So when does a lender start to get nervous and demand a formal third-party appraisal? Well, it's usually in these situations. If it's a private sale with no dealer invoice, if the machine is old or has super high hours, or if it's a really niche piece of equipment that's hard to value and even harder to resell, yeah, they're going to want an expert to officially pin down that fair market value.
And here is where we make a crucial pivot. Knowing the lender's valuation is one piece of the puzzle, for sure, but the most successful business owners, they look right past that number. They understand a much deeper, more important figure.
And this brings us to the most important number of all, the total cost of ownership. This is what separates the pros from the amateurs, and it's where your profit is truly made or lost.
The price you negotiate and see on that bill of sale, that's just the beginning. It's really just the tip of the iceberg. The real cost, the number that actually determines your profitability on every single job, is the total amount of money you will spend over the entire time you own that machine.
In the industry, this is known as the owning and operating cost, or O&O for short. Mastering this calculation is the secret to accurately forecasting your expenses, bidding on jobs correctly, and making sure every single hour that machine works is making you money.
So what goes into your O&O calculation? Well, it basically breaks down into two buckets. First, you've got your owning costs. These are the fixed expenses you're paying whether the machine is working or not. Think loan payments, insurance, taxes. Then you have your operating costs. These are all the expenses that pop up when you're actually using the machine. Fuel, maintenance, tires, and all the other wear items. This is where your thorough inspection really pays off, by the way. A machine with bad tires or sloppy pins will drive this number up from day one. You have to know both to get the full picture.
Okay, so let's boil this all down to a simple three-step framework. First, inspect the machine, not the meter. Second, shop your financing smartly to get a handle on your fixed costs. And third, always, and I mean always, calculate your full owning and operating cost. That is how you understand the machine's true price to your business.
And I'll leave you with a final thought on all this. Today, this entire process is still very hands-on, It relies on expertise and experience, but academic and industry research is already deep into using AI and machine learning to forecast equipment prices based on massive data sets. The day is coming when an algorithm might be able to tell you the true residual value of a machine more accurately than any human ever could, and that could change how we buy and sell equipment forever.